Hey guys, and welcome to week 4's topic. So we're going on a little bit of a trip today because I think you should be immersed in some of the things that we do on our day-to-day. I know we've covered our bases on air, water, ground, and now I get to move into some deeper topics. So I want to talk to you about the soil. The subcomponents of the soil are what make up every single aspect of life. The predominant element in soil is carbon, which is the source of life at its most fundamental root. Anything that browns and deteriorates breaks down into carbon. All human life forms are rooted in carbon. The soil has a balance of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, and many other minerals, elements, and salts that make it a balanced and incredible biological world of its own for which things can grow. Things can be produced and things layer and have a direct representation of history from it. We too take many of our nutrients from the soil, particularly the aforementioned. Most people are devoid of this particular micronutrients that come from the soil, such as calcium, such as iron, such as phosphorus, and the list goes on. But that isn't just because we're not eating soil, because it'd be strange if we did. Although there is an old adage in Germanic culture that says that a 6-year-old boy should have eaten a cup of soil by that age. And the reason being is because there are more microorganisms in a single cup of soil. Oh. So cool. Than there are in any or all living organisms on the planet in entirety. Meaning, in just that one single cup of soil, there are universes of organisms that we get to subject our body to purely by eating food that comes from it. But we don't do that anymore. We triple wash all of our vegetables to make sure that we've gotten rid of any filth or grime or pesticides. We make sure that our water is ultra purified. And in this way, we too are disevolved. You may have heard me mention in the past something called our microbiome. Our microbiome is a kind of like encapsulation term that discusses all of the microorganisms that make up our gut, our gastrointestinal tract. There she is. So your microbiota are those sub-organisms, and your microbiota all have individual purposes for digesting your food. Certain microbiota each have a job, and the way that we proliferate those microbiota determine how well they do their job. In other words, if you don't have an adequate amount of a certain bacterium in your gut, well, you're not going to digest certain food types as well as you would otherwise. The reason why I bring this up this week is because so much of what we do, so much of the way that we feel about ourselves directly correlates to our performance ability, oh my lord, and how we feel about our bodies. If you feel bloated, swollen, and like you have poor gastrointestinal health all the time, you're not going to be a well-performing athlete. And how can I expect you to continue into the Invictus Bodyweight Guides if you are malnourished or not adequately receiving the nutrients from your food? Or, if you're feeling like you're not seeing the results that you want to because you're constantly dealing with symptoms and side effects from the things that we eat. You know from the past too that I, in a period in way, want to clean up food types, processed foods, and other things, but it really does all start with the soil. Why is it that our microbiome are suffering so greatly? Why is it that all people are on probiotics or prebiotic fiber to stifle and increase the proliferation of their microbiota? This is something that shouldn't happen. I don't have to give my dog a probiotic because I can tell you that this little monster over here is eating every salty sea crab and piece of, wood chip in the yard. She gets her own dosages of microbiota in a healthy way through what she encounters in day-to-day life. Also, although we try to stop her from doing this, she has a terrible tendency to drink fresh water that she sees laying around on the ground, and that stresses me out as a dog mom because I worry about, water quality. But that water isn't filtered, and from it she receives trace minerals that she'll lose from respirating through her mouth and through urination. We as individuals will not reclaim those trace minerals that we lose in sweat, either in intense workout sessions or during sleep, which is why you wake up lighter in the morning, by the way, is because you sweat all of that out. And because our water is ultra filtered and ultra purified, yes, we get rid of some of the fluoride and the deuterium in our water, but we also get rid of all the good stuff too. And yes, we can try to get rid of some of the pesticides on the surface layer of our food, but we also wash away any of the microbiota that we should be exposed to. You've likely heard a lot of people talking about COVID and how exposure to microdoses of viral substances helps build immunity. Well, that works internally as well, and that comes from the soil. There are healthy hosts of bacteria that we need to be exposed to in order to build autoimmunity within the gut lining, in order to proliferate adequate mucosal linings in our gut, and in order to break down our food adequately and have appropriate responses to stressors in our environment and in our food. So how does this all work? We know that our soil is rich with life and capability. We know that everything spurs from it, and we know that we're not exposed enough to it because of the way that our food has to be processed, because of quality aspects in the way that it's produced. And I can't ask you to go out there and just eat a cup of soil. That wouldn't be realistic. But I can ask you to garden. I would love to see you eat things that come from the earth, that come from your own hands. And I'm biased because I love it myself. But if you can garden, I'd love for you to support local, visit some farms, reap what the land provides around you, and get close and in touch with the place that you live by nature of doing so. I would also encourage you to have filtered water, but not ultra filtered. You're going to look for water that's filtered by reverse osmosis, and that way it takes out the fluoride, deuterium to the best degree based on what we have available to us, and other food-related water-related EPAs that are high in toxin level, higher than ever right now. But when you get that water that's purified through reverse osmosis, I want you to fortify it with trace minerals. If you are a nutrition client of mine, you know to refer to the artillery guide for the salt section on how salt contains a wide spectrum of trace minerals that we deplete when we sweat and that we don't get from our water. But you can simply use a mineral salt, an electrolyte tablet, and of those salts I'm talking about Fleur de Sel, Redmond sea salt, Celtic sea salt, or Himalayan sea salt, provided that it's not too commercial because that shit can be sketchy. And you fortify your water with it. Don't be afraid of retaining water from sodium. That's a different type of salt. You're thinking about iodized salt, that's in most processed and food staple foods. And you're likely not retaining because of high sodium. You're likely retaining because of low potassium. These are things that we could talk about more, and I would love to discuss them with you. But think about where your food comes from and how to get a little bit closer to nature this week. How to support local and intrinsically tie yourself into the world around you, because it's the most beautiful thing you could do, and it adds more purpose in living this life where we do, eating food with quality and purpose, and feeling like it all comes full circle. If you're wondering where I am on the beautiful North Shore Long Beach. I would highly recommend you check this out if you want to sneak in as a resident. Don't tell anyone. It's beautiful here. Love Long Island. And yeah, get out there, have so much fun, and ask me any questions you want about nutrition and biohacking, because it all ties back into the earth and it makes it more important to me, and it should hopefully make it more important to you. But enjoy this week. Talk to you soon. Bye.